Huh. You never know what Batman's gonna get into. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tales from LaGrange, stories of my hometown and yours. I'm Aaron, the college recruiter, here telling one of my favorite stories about back home. Every holiday season, we would have a big gathering of all of the aunts, uncles, cousins would get together to celebrate the holidays at my grandma's house. We would do all sorts of really fun things. We'd open presents, we'd sing carols, we would play instruments. I had my saxophone that I would try to play as best I could. Then I'd give it to my cousin who actually knows how to play, actual music, and had a great time doing that. And then afterwards, after everything was kind of done, we would head over to my grandma's pond, jump in, and have a good swim. This is LaGrange, Texas, so it's about 80 degrees in December. And then usually we'd have to get out if somebody felt something, swimming around or saw any kind of deadly snakes like water moccasins, which are pretty rampant in the LaGrange area. So definitely if you're out there, be careful. Be careful. This is an important PSA note, not as well as a holiday greeting. But anyway, join us next week when we talk about the back alley bingo hall and the great games we used to play there during the holiday season and all year round. But until then, have a happy holiday, whatever you're celebrating, and please be sure to stay safe. I was going to talk about how my uncle would start shooting me. We'd all get out and then he'd take his gun and start shooting me.
Jello! Welcome to our holiday special with me, your host, Ricky Castaneda. Here's a quick look at some bloopers from this season. Here are all the important events going on today at... Where are we again? Oh wait, are we doing an intro?
Yeah. Oh, hi. This is the JT and Margaret talk. JT. I've got
I promise I know where I go to college. But am I saying...
Yeah, I pushed the start.
Wait, am I saying... Wait!
It's about to... Oh God, I'm not gonna... Everything is just teetering on failure. Ricky, the JT and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts, of course. I got it all out.
It's been an interesting semester. Let's revisit it. Let's not say we did.
We did it.
We did it, we made a show.
We opened the 2020 season here at Texas Tech. How did it go? We had to contend with a global pandemic.
I challenge the students to be very fast in how quickly they can travel, get lost of distance. Obviously we can't do that, so I feel like a little bit we're ricocheting off of our little squares right now. We're doing pretty well with it, but I've had to change things to be much more vertical than lateral.
So that's what this whole project is about, is really using our art to show people that we are evolving. The arts, they're not gonna die from this. We're gonna find ways to grow with this pandemic. We're gonna find ways to overcome and still make music that speaks to what is happening. I always say that that's what great art does. It speaks to the things that are happening within our society.
We're gonna get through this together. We're gonna get through it like a big, old, loud family. Why? Because we care about you. We deeply want you to succeed. We deeply want you to find your sense of place here with us in the College of Visual Performing Arts.
Happy holidays, everybody, from my house to yours. I'm Professor Mallory Pruka. I am Assistant Professor of Costume Design and Head of the Design Area in the School of Theater and Dance, which is part of the Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts. Today I'm here with my little friend, Sir Isaac Newton, also known as Izzy, and we're going to be making a Jello mold. Now, realizing that while I'm recording this video, you're going to hear barking and other sounds happening from my little friend here, I thought it might be more fun to not make a Jello mold for myself, but to make one that substitutes the ingredients for some dog-friendly ones. So hopefully at the end of this video, we'll end up with some really tasty treats for my little friend here. So what I've done to begin is I've got my mise en place ready, which is substituting ingredients like hot dogs, sodium-free organic turkey hot dogs, instead of maraschino cherries. I've got a little sprinkle of hamburger, knowing that Izzy loves a little bit of hamburger. I've got some dog kibble, as well as some dog-friendly bacon treats, all broken up. Instead of using the whipped cream that's suggested by the recipe, I've also whipped up some egg whites so that I can give this kind of a creamy texture and a certain lightness. Now, before the video started, I went ahead and mixed up my gelatin, which when you're dealing with gelatin to make a Jello mold, make sure that you bloom your Jello first in cold water and then mix that mixture into whatever liquid you're using to create your Jello. Because this is for my little friend here, I've gone ahead and mixed up my Jello with a little bit of chicken broth, thinking that that would be extra delicious. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and fold all of my ingredients together so that I can fill my Jello mold cups, stick them in the refrigerator, and then hopefully in an hour or two have something super delicious to show you. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold in my whipped egg whites. Now, one of my areas of specialization in research is moulage for first response exercises, which means I do all of the makeup that helps to train first responders, paramedics, and people in medical professionals. I have to tell you that as I'm doing this today, oftentimes I'm not fazed by things that would oftentimes be thought of as maybe a little bit queasy making. However, this is actually kind of disgusting. I'm thinking that it will be delicious for my dog, but if you were here, you would be able to savor a smell, which is really not very festive. So I've got all of my ingredients mixed in here. I've cooled my Jello so that it is a little bit firm. That way it means that my ingredients are going to mix into the gelatin, but when I put them into the mold, that's gonna mean that things do not sink. So I'm mixing all of these things together, and as you can see, it's quite heinous looking. But I think this is exactly what we're going for, because it seems like if something looks a little bit off, my dog tends to think that it's pretty awesome. So I've got these ingredients all mixed together. I'm gonna stir them. Just again, I don't wanna get too frisky with stirring it because I'll start to break down the gelatin a little bit as it sort of heats up in the environment, since I've just taken it out of the refrigerator. But everything has a very nice sort of firm, gelatinous texture. And boy, are these going to be amazing. If you want a really successful Jello mold, it's often best to use something more like silicone springform hand designed for Jello molding. But I think for our purposes today, that these are going to be super successful. This is like mixing dog food paint. How lovely. All right, you can see I've got made enough here that it's going to make 4 successful little Jello molds, and I'll finish emptying these into the cups. So I'm going to go ahead and put these things into the refrigerator. I'm hoping I've stayed in some kind of focus during the video. And then in about an hour to 2 hours, we should have something that's nice and cooled, which hopefully my dog will love and we can enjoy for the holidays. So I'm gonna put these in the refrigerator and I'll check back in with you once they're finished. All right, friends, it's the moment of truth. After 2 hours, I took my Jello mold out of the refrigerator, and you can see I freed one. It's good, it's nice and firm. It definitely has an excellent texture. I'm going to grab a knife here because my little friend does not need to eat the whole thing. Cut him off just a little piece. a little holiday treat for Sir Isaac Newton. And we have a dog-friendly Jello mold.
Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. It's not too far from the piano room and you can hear some festive holiday sounds coming out of there as I'm going to attempt to make this Jello mold. I have my ingredients here and in technical challenge style for you British Bake Off fans, I'm going to study this recipe right now. Alright, so having investigated this recipe, I have everything I need. I have one concern, the red and green maraschino cherries. This one I got in liquid. This one is, I don't know, I guess kind of a solid, so I'm concerned that that's going to make a moisture difference in the mold when the time comes, but we'll see what we can do. There's a lot of chopping and draining to do as the first step, so let me get my apron on and get to it. All right, we've got everything for our first steps here. Got a half cup cold water here in this measuring container, and you're supposed to put 2 envelopes of this unflavored gelatin in there to set aside for later. So, sounds easy enough. Let's see, I didn't really say to stir, so I'm going to assume that can do all right on its own. The juice of these red maraschino cherries is just the thing for brandy old fashions. If anyone needs tips on how to make those. So I'm going to save that for later because there might be one of those happening. One might pose the question to oneself, how large of walnut chunks does one want in one's Jello? And if you actually have an answer to that, then, I don't know, we maybe need to talk. Now for the cherries, I've counted, and I think I'm going to save about 10 of these total, maybe 5 of each color for garnish on the top. So I'm going to set those aside right now. Boy, those are fluorescent. That can't be good for you. Oof, viscous. Green cherries. Actually, that's about right. Maybe a little bit too much. All right. Good on the green ones. And red ones. This is how many red maraschino cherries I end up with, which is about half as much as the green. So I think I got to get rid of some of these greens because they weren't in liquid to start with. We're ready to take the next step, which is use some heat. So we have our pineapple juice here. Now the recipe says add water to the drained pineapple juice so that you have a cup. I actually have more of a cup with just the pineapple juice itself, which maybe means that I squeezed the pineapple a little too hard as I was draining it. I don't know. But anyway, this is straight pineapple juice. It's going into the pot. It's going to boil, and as soon as that boils, we'll stir in the gelatin. All right, our juice mixture is boiling. So I'm going to kill the heat and add the softened gelatin, which appears to have decided to become one big mass. I hope that's normal. So, this is the bowl where all the magic will happen in step 2, so I'm going to just put this in here right now and pop it in the fridge and cool it down. Let's see how we're doing. Ooh, not there yet. Alright, a couple more minutes to practice. You know, growing up in the upper Midwest, this sort of Jello concoction was a fairly frequent part of my childhood. But as with all of us, we probably have things from our childhood that we don't regularly or willingly bring into our adult lives, and this is certainly one of those things for me. So I have not ever endeavored to make such a thing before, although it does bring back some significant memories from, I guess, generally the Carter and Reagan administrations. So we seem far enough along toward the egg white stage of the gelatin that we need to do a couple other things in preparation for step 2. We have the mold itself lubricated. I used coconut oil instead of cooking spray because I don't like that stuff and we don't have any. And we've made the whipped topping here, which the directions very specifically say make according to package directions omitting vanilla, which in fact the directions on this version did have. I can only assume that is because we do not want to upset the delicate flavor balance in the other ingredients of this recipe. And then we also need to sift some powdered sugar. And, you know, this is a sifter, and we have one, and I didn't actually know that. But since we know there are style points in presentation here, I'll now show you what I'm going to do with these reserved cherries. There are these bumps on the bottom of the mold of the tin, which will turn into the top of the finished product. So I'm just going to put some whole cherries in a regular pattern, hopefully. Okay, so the whipped topping is fully beaten. As it says on the recipe, we are going to fold 1 cup of that into the gelatin mixture once it's hardened. And then it says reserve remaining topping for other uses. I'm happy with this. All right, the moment of truth is upon us. We have an unbeaten egg white consistency of our gelatin mixture. Although if I saw an egg that looked like that, I probably wouldn't eat it. Into which we are supposed to put basically everything else we've done so far. So first, a cup of whipped topping. That looks about right. And the directions call for folding that in, which is like not working even a little. Trying not to deflate the whipped topping overly much. Yeah, okay, we're gonna do the powdered sugar next, just because I feel like that will help somehow. The green cherries. The red cherries. Pineapple. And lest we forget the most important part, a 1/3 cup of mayonnaise. Now, whoever experimented with this and realized that mayonnaise was just the thing for this final step, I'm not sure. That's about 1/3 of a cup, don't you think? All right, last couple of whips here. And then the big challenge, getting it into the mold. So I don't know if you can see what it's doing on camera, but the viscosity of this is like something I've never encountered before. All right, so there we have it. It's in the tin, and now it will pop in the refrigerator, chilling until firm, and then we will have the grand reveal on the serving tray. I wonder what I should be doing right now. All right, we have arrived at the moment of truth. Took it out of the fridge. Seems to be pretty solid, if odd looking. And now we are going to see if we can decant this thing. We have the pièce de résistance. Looks like the Jello kind of swallowed up those cherries I so carefully put on the top, but you can still kind of see them. Ooh, look at that texture. Yeah. All right. All right, the moment I've been waiting for. Whoa! Yeah, that takes me back. This is vastly different.
Has a nice crunch. A crunch? I'm not sure I will be able to taste that. He said there's pineapple. What a blend of flavors.
Delightful lot of cherries in this. The presentation is beautiful.
I think I had this as a child.
And to everyone who's watching this, thank you for watching, and we wish you a wonderful 2021, blessed Christmas and holiday season, and we'll see you on the other side.
Scrambled
Bye-bye.
eggs. Scrambled eggs. It's sticking with me.
Those Jello molds look fantastic. And on the topic of Jellos, as we head into the new year, make sure to follow us on all of our social media profiles at TTU Arts, including the Never Gonna Be Banned TikTok. And while we're speaking of bans, let's ban stale gingerbread houses, Jello that's flavored like vegetables, and the word "tis," because what tis it?
Well, I hope you've enjoyed the holiday Spesh. We've shared some laughs, had a good time, looked at the year in review, and we hope you'll join us next year at the J&T Margaret.
Aaron,
Ah,
we're at the JT and Margaret Talkington College of Visual and Performing Arts, of course.